Hey, how's it going? You are here for Heavy Art Talk, and you are in for a treat today. I actually have Marald joining me today, which I just realized I didn't double check that I'm saying the name correctly, so he'll be able to correct me once he comes on. But huge pleasure to have him on. Been a really big fan of his work for a long time, and it's somebody I've wanted to have on for quite a minute now. But yeah, if you're not familiar, he's done a lot of really cool work. He's worked with bands like Kvelertak, Metallica, Necrot, Nick Johnston, Mastodon, Ghost, Cult of Luna, and many more. Please welcome to the stage, Marald. What's up, man? So did I get your name correct, or is that not the right pronunciation?
Actually, for very perfect. I always get the feedback from close friends that I myself have two ways of pronouncing it. So I say either Marald or Marald, which is something I catch myself doing since they pointed that out to me. But I think the best way is the way you did. So it's fine. Yeah. I'll answer to that if you call me out. So definitely.
Perfect. Kind of going back to like childhood. Do you recall like any images or artists that really stuck out to you? You know, it could be for commercial purposes. So, you know, it could be album covers, film posters, anything, you know, but do you recall kind of that first like spark as a kid artistically?
Well, if I can pinpoint it to the very first moment, I'm not sure, but I do recall certain images and especially a lot of books that were available at my parents' house. My father had a vast library, and if me or my sisters had an interest in something, you would actually buy books of that subject. So we got really stimulated in that field, and he also, my parents took us to museums, so I was exposed to art at a very, very early age. And actually, because I came prepared for this question, so I actually brought some books that really influenced me, and that I would go over and over as a kid. And one of them is this one. Well, it says it all, right?
Painters of Fantasy.
Yeah, and it is.
Bosch on the front.
Yep, and it goes from the early parts to the modern parts, and I would just look at that and just stare at it for hours and just go through it. So I got exposed to Bosch when I probably maybe was 6 or something like that, and this is also the copy that my father had. So, and this is what I had.
Oh wow!
Everybody knows this, but I mean, this is the first press. You know, when it came out, he bought that. I think I was around 9, something like that, when I saw that. My father took me to Alien in cinemas. So he was very free in that, and he really exposed me to a lot. So classical art, but also maybe outsider, very dark art, but also very from comic art. I mean, this is and this is the first one as well. I mean, Jean Giraud, Movies, he bought everything that man had. Every book that came out. So the Incal, we couldn't wait for a new part to be released. I remember that time very well. I got exposed to a lot of stuff, so I'll just show some
of those are pretty rare and expensive nowadays.
Yeah. I mean,
this is you got some good stuff.
Yeah, this is, well, I've got a huge collection actually. So these are just some parts, but I mean, seeing Richard Gorman at a really early age, I think I was like 11, and
Yeah.
yeah, that is. I mean, you're also pre puberty, so seeing all his muscular man and his over physical females, yeah, that shapes you as well. But he he's one of my favorite artists. He's always been that. And we can talk about that later as we go to techniques as well, because he's been in that way very influential for me. Because he's a guy that did everything, even the digital. He was one of the first comic artists that went digital in a really interesting way. This one is also
Oh yes,
this
great.
Philippe Druillet. I got this as a present for my 11th birthday, and that's insane. And you can see, I mean, the back is all worn out. I went through this like every day. I ate it. I ate this up. So this is incredible stuff. And then I have to go to the next. I mean, we probably all know this as well.
Yes.
I have, I think, all copies of this, all episodes or all of the series. I would go through this, yeah, religiously, and yeah, eat this up as well. This was a huge influence. Yeah. Here we have another one you probably know as well, the studio.
I'm actually not
You
as
see it?
familiar with that one there.
Oh man.
Is
Well,
it
this
a
has,
collection?
yeah, this is the studio of 4 artists that used to work in one studio. It's Jeffrey Jones, Michael Kaluta, Bernie Wrightson, and Barry Windsor Smith. And
Legends.
those are 4, yeah, those
Yeah.
are legends. So yeah, incredible stuff. Especially Bernie Wrightson made a huge impact at an early age. So that, yeah, that's insane. I remember seeing, probably opens up. I mean, it showed like,
Yeah.
I mean, that fans with the hats. Oh man, that made a huge, and the soft colors, the Frankenstein stuff.
Yep, I got that
It
right
was,
here. I got a bit of a glare, but I got a print
oh yeah,
right there.
yeah. So,
He's a
and
favorite of
then,
mine.
yeah,
Oh, of course.
I mean, yeah, that man also, and all, especially with him, with Roger Dean, and seeing the album covers, that really made a huge impact. And the Hypnosis books, yeah, just seeing album covers. And then at an early age, my dad used to be, he did some illustration work, and a couple of illustrations that he did was involved album covers. So he made like 2 album covers, which were for fairy tales, spoken words, I think.
Oh,
And it amazed me when I saw them, and that he made them. So for me, that realization that like, oh, you can actually make that yourself, that probably stuck with me. It's always easier looking back, but I think it was a pivotal moment. It was like really something that clicked and made a desire to do, yeah, maybe leave a little spore that grew into this.
yeah. So did your dad help teach you art at a young age?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He actually sat us down, me and my sisters, and drew with us. But it was also, I mean, uh, I think my son right now has the same problems. When you have a father who's working in the field or as a professional.
Yeah.
It's hard to as a young one to start, and yeah, because his drawings were always way better. So um, I, um, he stimulated us in a really good way, I think, but was also like trying to punch upwards. You know,
Right.
so you get the feeling, I guess. But yeah, always stimulated from an early age just to draw. If we told them that we were bored, it was like, well, just go sit for a blank page, and you can draw anything, So yeah,
That's really cool. Do you? I mean, obviously you were raised in the Netherlands and not United States, but based on your observations, do you recall any kind of differences maybe in like childhood over there versus over here? Because I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so in the South. But
yeah.
like anything maybe from just talking to other like American colleagues and stuff that you could pick up on?
Um, I'm not sure. I think there's probably a huge difference in art schools. I reckon, like the books and that I just showed, like comics that were well, we didn't even touch on that, but animation as well. There's like we have like the art schools are, well, no, they're not really. They used to be based in really focused on traditional art, but I mean, when I was at art school, and my interest in comics and animation, that was looked down upon. It's not like that's not art. That's kid stuff or anything. It's or only if you could use it in kind of a conceptual way, like the pop art. Yeah, I think that's a huge difference, and also I think in America they in art school they prepare you better in a way to sell your stuff, to be at least you get something like how to run a business or how to be an artist, whereas in my experience was it was never touched upon, or if you already a soldier work, it was frowned upon. It was like oh, you're too commercial, or yeah, my experience weren't that great. Let's keep it at that. so
of everyone I've interviewed, most people have had less than stellar experiences at art school. You're not alone there.
No, I know, but yeah, it's weird because you come in with high hopes or great expectations that and especially if you're a young age, you look up on you look up to your teachers, and you think that they have the knowledge, but yeah, at a certain point you have to realize that they either don't know shit or know very little. So yeah, that was a hard realization, but a good one as well.
Yeah. When it comes to like working with bands or even just commercial illustration, were you doing any work before college or after university? But like, do you recall kind of some of your first early projects?
Oh yeah. When I was in art school, I was also diving into the punk scene, and I was still in art school when I did my first album cover. So I think I made it. No, it wasn't. I think the third one I partially made at art school as well during one of the lessons. So yeah, I still have that first one as well. I have it over here. So this is the very first one I did.
Here, I'm gonna make you larger here. Oh
Okay.
wow, that's really cool. Like a
Thanks.
very unique way.
Yeah. That was I think that was 89 when I did that. Um, um, yeah, one of my favorite punk bands, Swedish punk bands. I did a fanzine with a friend where I could just I did all the illustrations. And we sent it out to everybody, and I sent it out to them, asked for an interview, and they were interested in me doing art for them, and this is what came out. So that was, yeah. I'm still friends with one of the members. So
Nice.
when I'm in Stockholm, I usually try to hook up with him. So still a
Very
great
cool.
guy. Yeah.
Were you doing a lot of like punk related work before working with predominantly metal bands then? Or was
Oh
it a
yeah,
mix?
definitely. No, 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 no. Yeah, my first focus was mainly punk bands, and I mean, I wasn't professional at all. I wasn't asking money for it. I was happy with copies, and later, um, because of my interest in comics, and also that I got to work with a lot of U.S. bands. I always asked for comics. I got a lot of my Corbin stuff, the really rare ones from making punk records. So that's yeah, which is great. So yeah, because I didn't want to be commercial. I wanted to be a trade. I didn't want anything like money involved. Yeah, like I said, I was um, heavily involved in DIY scene and really wanted to keep money out of it. And I've been, yeah, it took me decades and hard talk from a good friend of mine to go professional. So
Yeah.
I kept hiding for a long time, just under the radar, and yeah, it probably also had to do with some sort of insecurity, imposter syndrome. Yeah, am I good enough? I'm not good enough for this. Setting too high standards for yourself. But yeah,
That's something all artists can relate to. And you think as
yes,
you get better, you would that feeling would go away. And I think,
never does.
yeah, for me it's just I'm better at grappling with it, or I've just been here before, so it's
Mm,
like familiar,
yeah.
but I can relate.
Yeah, at certain points, certain projects, that little annoying voice in the back of your head that pops up, like, see, it's been all luck. You're a fake. Yeah, it pops up. And it's mostly during like an in between stage in work where work, you have to get through it. It
Yeah.
doesn't look as good. The shit stage
Yeah.
that work has. You have to, or the thing that you thought would work didn't work, where you take the wrong turn and you have to adjust it. Yeah, that's when the self doubt comes in, and yeah, it gets easier to handle when you're a bit older. But I guess yeah, for younger artists, it can be really a struggle, and can also be something that will prevent you from taking the right route, or actually showing your work or anything like that. Yeah. So
In terms of your work when you were, working with punk bands predominantly, were you doing more of that black and white kind of pen and ink style, and then you've shifted more towards color, or is it a mix even then of like paintings
uh,
and drawings and stuff?
yeah, I think one of the album covers I did that was sort of a breakthrough in that part was for State of Fear, where I used acrylics and I used to airbrush.
Hmm.
So, but that was all black and white as well. Most of the stuff was just in black and white. I think the first punk cover that I did in color was Wolf Brigade, the D-Beat Odyssey.
Oh,
yeah, and the original is in black and white, and that was one of the first that I digitally colored. So I made it blue in Photoshop. Yeah.
and that would have been probably pretty early version of Photoshop then, right?
Oh yeah. I don't have the original anymore. I gave that to John Baizley. So he has that in his possession. It was the size of a 7-inch. Actually, the original, really small. And
you worked at scale.
Well, they blew it up because it's a 12-inch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In terms of you mentioned John, he's highly regarded. So where Baroness formed was close to where I went to college. So very close. When did you guys first meet? And I think I'll have some photos in slide deck, but you guys have collaborated before, painted and worked alongside each other. Just kind of talk a little bit about that. I'm curious.
Well, actually, John hit me up during the MySpace days. So one day I had a message from him, and he introduced himself, and he said that he knew my work for a long time, and he was a big fan. He said that he was an artist as well, and that he played in a band, and that they were going to go on their first Euro tour, and that they will be in Amsterdam. Then he would love to meet up. And I was a bit reluctant. I was like, okay, I'll check out his page. Let's say something nice. I'll listen to his band. Also say something nice and probably blow him off. I had no idea who it was, So
yeah, a small band at the time too.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, but I went to his page. I saw his work, and it was like, okay, this guy can draw. The Posset influences were still clearly visible, but already, and also the Muka influence, but already his handwriting, everything already shone through. So his talent was clearly visible. So I was pretty impressed. And then I listened to Baroness and was like, whoa, this is some incredible stuff. And I figured out that they played with Torch, which I saw in Minneapolis, I think maybe a year before. So that was great. We met, I think, in 2006 in Amsterdam at the Winston, which is a very interesting place as well because it's located in the red light district. So I met up with John. We immediately hit it off. We were both very excited and giggly actually, and I remember we were standing outside of the venue, like I said, in the middle of the red light district. So there's a lot of freaks and a lot of tourists. It's very busy, and we were just talking about art and music and really connecting. And we were talking about artists in the scene that we admired, and I mentioned Jeremy Hush, his name, and John started laughing. And I was like, okay, and I asked, what are you laughing about? And I said, well, you just handed him your jacket. He's our roadie. So I immediately ran towards him and I said, man, I love your stuff. I'm so excited that you're here as well. So the three of us connected since that day, and we're still good friends, and it's magic when we three meet again. We've had a couple of times, the last two times we're all in Philly, But yeah, it's just amazing. And yeah, both are really good friends. And John, yeah, I'm thankful for everything he has done for me. Yeah, yeah. I'm proud to call him a friend. It's he's an inspiration for sure in both ways. It's been really great to see him from grow from the early stages and just take off.
Totally.
And yeah, and he's still the same guy to me. And yeah. So
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
When it comes to like your
got many more stories, crazy stories involving John, Baroness, and anything, but yeah.
Oh, it makes me want to go, to Netherlands or Amsterdam. I've never been. And it sounds like you've been to the United States a couple times, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love visiting the US, and I love visiting my friends. Definitely. I mean, so many good people there. Great food, great cities, great art, great music as well, great nature. Yeah, and of course, shit politics, I know, but we have the same, well, sort of the same. We have a lighter version of the fascism with a smile you got over there. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. My dog's trying to bust through as I'm looking back here. Now, when it comes to kind of the style artistically that I think is more signature for you now and stuff with the colored pencil and everything, when did you first kind of fall into some of those, that look, you know what I mean? Evolve from the punk kind of look to this.
I think I was pretty young when I first started. Well, all of us. I mean, that's the thing with color pencils. Is probably one of the things, first things you get as a kid to draw with. So yeah, it took me a while to get back to color pencils. One of the things that I was struggling with was especially I already mentioned that I used to work with an airbrush, and I always try to be conscious of the fact that an airbrush has a techie side to it. It can be beautiful. It can make shadows very beautiful, very mysterious. But it can also look like a carnival. You know the look.
Yeah, you don't have to look like a painting on a van. That's what we, like the
yeah,
airbrush
definitely, yeah, or the t-shirts with the wolf and the moon, and the lightning. Yeah, the cliches. But of course, it's just a tool, and it's all about how you use it. But I was always very conscious of that, and I think I sometimes went over the line and went into tackiness. So it was like okay, what medium can I use which is different and which has a different feel, and I opted for color pencil then. And I think at that moment I was already mixing it with digital. So I don't think I was doing color pencil. I think I was doing pencil and scanning that in, and then do digital coloring. So that was the method I had developed then. And I think the first record I did with color pencil was probably for Entrapment, which was a project of a dear friend of mine, Michel, a fellow Dutchman. And yeah, I have no idea why, but I decided to do the base in color pencil on an off-white paper. So it already had like a medium tone, so I could use white as highlights, and it worked really well. And then I scanned it in, and I did. I boosted it digitally, and that's Okay, great noise.
Sorry about that. He's a French bulldog, so makes
All
those
right, yeah.
noises.
Oh well, I have a Boston Terrier, so I know I'm familiar with the snoring. Oh
You know,
man, hey, great.
he's getting a little impatient, but yeah,
All right, yeah, I wants attention. No, I know the snoring sounds. Like I
yeah,
said, I have a Boston Terrier, so it can snore like a full-grown man. Fart like one as well.
yeah. They're not too different.
Yeah. So that album cover actually, yeah, that was something that really pleased me as well. I was like, okay, now I've reached the level that I wanted, that I was looking for, that I knew that I could get through oil paintings, and I didn't want to do album covers in oils because they would take ages. So that was the method I developed, and yeah, that was the result I was looking for. So, and I went on and on from there. So first it was just a tonal. I think that was basically a tonal base, and then I tried different things because I also had when 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 the digital art really came full force. I remember there was a point where I really thought about, like, okay, should I quit doing it on paper and go fully digital, or should I stick to keeping original art as a base, just do handwork as the base? And I've seen some at that time. I've seen some artists go fully digital, and I couldn't tell the difference between their original works and the digital ones. And those guys are still really good. But I'm actually glad that I took the route that I did, and just always stick to handwork as the base, as like at least 70% of the art, and when I really have the time, like 90%. It's also very important because you have an original, and that's not only good for you, but also business wise. You can sell something, and a file you can, of course, you can sell it. But mostly there's restrictions in that as well. Whereas with the original, depending on the quality of the work, and also on the quality of or the name of the band of the project you work for, you can sell it for a lot more. So I'm glad I stuck to that.
I think
And
there's
it also,
an enjoyment
I think,
factor too. You know,
sorry.
there's like an enjoyment factor. I imagine too. You just enjoy making by traditional and then going to digital. Like, I don't want to put
Yeah,
words in your mouth, but yeah, it's a different feeling.
I think that as well. Plus, you actually have something to show. Instead of something on your phone, or instead of something on the screen, you can actually you have an original which has texture, and you can see the handwriting. So
Absolutely.
makes it makes it tangible. So
What? So yeah, I've seen that kind of like off-white kind of beige paper that you've used in like your
oh yeah,
process photos and stuff.
the gray one. Yeah, that's one of my favorite papers to use. It's matting board. I
Okay.
I discovered that um, that matting board. Yeah, it takes on color pencils, and it takes it on quite well. But it also fights me because it's not meant to be drawn on. So it's kind of a hate love, and it keeps me really sharp because I have to be focused. It's really delicate. You can easily damage it. So for me, it really works just to get into the hyper focus and really concentrate it. So I love it. I love that paper, but I did some collaborations with people, and I've seen them struggling. So yeah, so might not work for everyone because I get a lot of questions about like what kind of materials do you use, and yeah, I always list my materials used in the hashtags, but still, what works for me doesn't have to work for someone else. And I can reckon that paper, yeah, that doesn't work for everyone, I guess. So
Yeah, sometimes because I use colored pencils quite a bit as well, especially what I've been doing more lately is I try to take watercolor as far as I can, and then I do some like tightening with colored pencils because I can get that precision. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah,
sometimes,
it's very direct. It's that's the one thing that I think everybody loves about color pencils. It's
yeah.
really direct.
Do you ever have issues with it building up into like a waxy layer, or do you kind of like sometimes erase some layers so that it doesn't build up too much? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, I I think the waxy layers probably have to do with all the opaque colors, and I try to keep everything pretty thin. And really opaque things that I need, I'll do with acrylics. So I don't get that part where it doesn't take the color anymore. And that's when I shift to acrylics for the deeper, the deepest shadows, the deepest colors, and the brightest highlights. I shift to acrylics.
Oh, it
So,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
and if you do like watercolor, if you do you use like color pencils, or do you use like watercolor pencils?
I have both, but what I'll typically do is the colored pencils like the final 15%. So I've already done all my water-based medium. Whereas with the watercolor pencils, I could put it down and then put some water on to blend it, but at least the quality that I have, it doesn't work quite as well with the watercolor pencils. Because I have I can't, it's like the Karash, whatever, like the pretty,
Cavendish,
yeah,
Cavendish, yeah,
I have the nice colored pencils, and that makes a
yeah, yeah,
difference.
those are the ones that yeah, they're my favorite ones. So Cavendish, if you're listening, sponsor me.
Yeah, because they can get kind of expensive.
Yeah, they are, but they're well worth it. So and I really like it to do a blend, just to do a wash and spread the pigments around, because you can really steer them and you can thin them down. Um, there's also like with certain kinds of paper, you can almost use water as an eraser then, so you can push the pigment out of it. But yeah, that's always very delicate, especially with the paper I work on. That's always the tricky part. If you try to do that, there's always a chance that you ruin the paper or you leave a smudge. And yeah, I'm a perfectionist, like a lot of people in this field. Yeah, you want to have everything clean. So that's yeah, yeah. You want to avoid that situation. At least I want to avoid it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So we're talking a little bit about colored pencils and stuff. In terms of the process itself from start to end of creating a piece, is there a particular part that you like the most?
I like everything, actually. I like the whole process. I can tell you, well, that's not completely true. There's one part that I always hate, and that's making a transfer. So when I have the composition figured out in Greenlit, I have to get the line composition over to the actual paper that I'm going to draw on with color pencils and paint with acrylics, which has, then I have to trace it and then redraw it again. It's like draw.
I can relate.
Yeah. You have to draw it like the same thing, like almost like four times. And sometimes it really annoys me, and then I just want to have an assistant to do that boring part. But if you want something, you have to do it. It's the one thing that I find tedious and sometimes really annoying, especially with the paper as well. That it doesn't take the transfer right, or you push too hard and you see it's almost like you etch the lines into the paper. Yeah.
You do like a graphite transfer method?
I have the graphite paper, but I've had trouble with that because sometimes it leaves too much graphite on the paper, which is really delicate, and then it's almost impossible to go over with a color pencil because there's too much graphite already in that line. So what I usually do is just use a transparent paper, trace the lines, and then put color pencils underneath, and then do the push through. Then I trace it again, and then it takes it depends on the color of the paper that I use. Sometimes I use like a white to do it, or a light gray. When I do on black, I don't want to do the white because I don't want to start with my highlights as the outline. So I'll take a darker gray so I can see the composition, and then I have to touch it up, do some touch up, and then I'm good to go. And with the lighter gray, it depends on what I'm going for, what base color, but I usually like to use like a warm, like a ochre kind of color to start with. So, but sometimes that color is almost too light and really, really hard to see as well. Sometimes it reflects a lot. So, yeah. The tracing part is one of the parts that I find the most annoying, actually, and the rest is all fun and games. And, I love the whole process. So sketching is something I really love as well. I also loved all the freedom in that. And sometimes I look back at the sketch and the finished piece, and sometimes there's so much spontaneity in a sketch and so much power that gets a little bit lost in the search for perfection. So
I know what you mean there. You kind of lose some of that like action or like gesture.
Yeah. Especially that. And that's also something that I try to. That's actually one of my goals to get that feeling more into newer pieces. I would love to get that feel better especially when you get more experience with materials as well, and you know that certain ways, certain risks aren't risks anymore because you've already done them, so you know they pay off. So it's you get a bit more. How do you call it? More free in your execution. So I think right now is a good time to just take some risks, which are either easily fixed or just give a huge payoff. So so I'm looking forward to trying out some stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty common. Like, you see a lot of artists seek for a while like that technical perfection, and then once they kind of hit what they see as like their climax point, they really start to go more in the loose and expressive direction. You know what I mean? It's a pretty common trajectory. I see.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and probably art historians will nod and agree. Like, yeah, that's the way to go.
For sure.
But yeah, I think there's also huge or many examples of people who just stick to technical perfection and just keep it at that. So there are plenty of examples for that as well. And I'm not judging anything. For me, I want to do I want to try out some things while still maintaining quality. I don't think it will be like me painting with a huge brush or anything. I'll still be crazy detail. But yeah, there might be a bit more balance between that, like really detailed stuff and more what I would call controlled spontaneity. So,
yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Thinking about kind of like the last maybe 15 years or even maybe before that, but are there any like key moments in your career that you can kind of pinpoint? I mean, you did like
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
I think one of the huge moments or like pivotal moments. Well, like I said, I mentioned before, like I had a friend who sat me down and had a good talk with me. Like, dude, what are you doing? You know, look at all the artists that follow you. Look at all the artists that you know. Look at the network you have. Why are you hiding yourself? Use your network. You can do this professional. You're good. You know, you can do this. Just ask your friends, ask your art friends to help you out, to set you up, and do this. And that was a real eye opener. And I asked John to help me out, and he was gleefully taking my me staggering and like more us than I've uttered during this interview, during this talk. He was just standing there laughing with a huge smile on his face, looking at me. And when I finally said the words, he was like, "Of course, man. Of course, I'll do it." You know, and I think months later, he offered me like, "Hey man, do you want to do a shirt for Baroness?" And I did the design, and he was like, "Okay man, this is great. How about you want to do a series for the new record? Like do some interior design and do the back cover and do illustration for the booklet." And I jumped on it, and that was I think the moment. That was the moment where I actually went professional and got the chance to work for a bigger band that I loved and I'm a fan of. Work with someone I admire, who's a friend and who really pushed me, because I had to bring on my A game and explore a different style. Actually, a style that was more personal. So it was great. It was great. I got to express what I wanted and do it on a bigger podium. And I think that album, Purple, and John really introduced me to a whole new audience. So
that's cool. Yeah, I was listening to Purple the other day. I need to look, at the details, but I didn't know that was your work in there. So it's in the inner part and then on the back. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the back, it's the inside, and it's in the booklet. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool. How was it, like getting asked by Metallica or their management to do like those pieces? Which, while you're talking about them, let's go ahead and just pull it up so we have a visual example too. 1 second. There we go. Skip over that for now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was great. Actually, the Well, I can't talk publicly about the whole experience because there's some things you have to keep a secret.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I could have never imagined to me as like a 15 or 13-year-old boy. I think I was 14 or 15 when I got introduced to their music. And I mean, I could never imagine that I got to do this and also get all the artistic freedom that I had. It was like pick a song, pick something that you want, make a composition sketch and send it for approval. And I mean, it all got approved. I really wanted to do the thing that should not be. So that was that was the first thing that actually they asked me to do the poster design, and the other design that you showed before, that one, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I had that idea in my head for years, and so I just showed them a sketch. Like, okay, I think I've got a really nice design that could work really well on the shirt, and that got made as well. And I think it's in their from what I know, it's in their continuing collection. So it's because it was first like a fifth member shirt only, and now now it's still there. So and it was one of their highest sales last year. That's what I got back. So that's pretty good. Which actually, which also means that I should have asked for a lot more money, but
it's an honor though too. But yeah,
yeah, it's an honor. Yeah, honor doesn't pay the bills.
True.
No, but actually, of course, it's an honor, and I mean, it's a weird thing to hear me say as well. I mean, I'm still that punk rock kid. I don't give that much for money, but when it comes to bigger bands, so with I mean, there's 4 millionaires in that band, and of course they have to provide for almost like a small city, people working for them. And I know I'm just a small blip on their radar, but still, you have to pay your art as well, I think.
It's a good point. So, in terms of the execution of this, so on the right here, is that all the hand-drawn part? And is that colored pencils or pen and ink? How did you make that?
Okay, the right one is actually the one, because I told him, like, okay, I'll do black and white one as well. And that one is done digitally. So all those lines are just drawn, in Photoshop.
Okay.
So and the dots as well. But they're not like, it's not like a dotted pencil, like a, but it's actually dot for dot. So it's not like a special structure, like a, you know what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah. You have those. Yeah, I mean, you have those pencils where you just do one stroke and you get all perfect dots. But this one is dot for dot.
Okay, I understand what you mean. The brush or the thing you're using.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So I mean, if we go into the process again, I can show you some originals because I have the thumbnail of this one. Yeah, and I've got them lying around. So, I mean, here's like here's like the first thumbnail I made.
Okay.
I just, for me, it's like when I have an idea, I normally have a very clear vision of how it will look and if it will work. but I always have to check it on paper because sometimes, well, sometimes really it's more rare, but sometimes it just happens that you put it out on paper and you're like, oh, it doesn't work at all. But mostly it's just like confirmation, like, yeah, this will be good. And with this one, I knew it would be really, I thought it was a really strong image and a very, that sounds weird, but a good idea.
Yeah.
So then I made a rough sketch. So you got like this, trying to sort it out. Then I make a refined sketch. And I'll get a more. Well, I have to turn it the right way. Yep.
Yeah, the mirror gets you.
Yeah, that's always fucks it up. And then we go to the tedious parts. This is what I told you, like, because it's the transfer. You can maybe make out like the color as well. So I do the color pencil over here, and then I push it through. And then, this is the original, which reflects a lot on black paper. This is really delicate paper. This is like, this smudges like a so easily. So that
looks really good, man. Like, so.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I thought I'm just misunderstanding, but so you did hand draw pretty close to what on the right it looks like, and then there were just some digital touch-ups.
No,
like when you show the original, that looks pretty close.
Well, go back to the original, and then you'll see that the one on the left is the one that is mainly used for this. So if you zoom in again.
So because like there's some texture in the robe that you don't see on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I first made the one on the left, and I used the colors, and I used those colors because there's the Ride the Lightning, the French press. The rare version is green.
Okay.
So it's a little nod to that one. And I like the color combination with the red, of course. It's like contrasting colors. And then I wanted to make a black and white. And if I had all the time in the world, I would have made it all by pen and ink. But right now, with having Photoshop and having a Cintiq screen, I just copy. I use the file and just up the contrast, make it in grayscale, black and white, and then use that as a base to draw it in just on white. Okay. So everything is drawn with white, and then an eraser on a black background, and then I just wanted to have a nice flow of the lines. So it's all line work. It's all white lines.
Yeah, it looks great, man. Love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it too. I'm still very proud of both designs as well, because I had so much fun with the other one as well, because I got to put in a band at in the center of that was like a really nice Easter egg for them. So if you zoom in, you can actually see them play right into the heart of that chaos. So it was great to do.
Yeah, I think the thing that, it's like sometimes it's like the little decisions that I always really admire, but how light those textures are in the M streak. So it's not just the white M, like you still have some of the drawing peeking through with that kind of transparent feel. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole concept. I actually was, of course, using the Skype as the M. So, and do the little wing to mimic the upper part of the M as well. So it's almost like, so there's and also the movement. If you look at the composition, you can see that the rope is almost from the head until the point of the rope is almost the same angle as the M. So it's almost like a triangle. So it's it's thought out.
But it sounds like you had pretty much everything in your head, and then you did the thumbnail for confirmation. So
yeah, and in that thumbnail is everything actually. All there's trying to balance the letter, trying to get that triangle, and also get that upper part of the M balanced with a little wing. It's all already there in the thumbnail. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Now, since we have all the art up, let's keep that truck in. So I pulled this up, and this is for Transit Method. This is a cover that was recently announced. The album came out. I imagine you worked on it a bit ago because of always the delay. But just kind of illustrating the full process. Feel free to talk about this.
Yeah, this is almost a year old. That's one of the luxuries I have at this stage. I don't have to do acquisition. So bands come to me, projects come to me, and I get to pick the things that I like.
Yeah.
And I listen to their music. I always want to. I only work with people that I have a connection with. Either it's the music I love, or they're good friends. There has to be a click. Otherwise, I'm really not. I'm not interested. I don't work for people. I work with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important because otherwise it just becomes like an illustration job, and I don't want to do that. So I want to have control of what I spend my hours on, spend my time on. So this was. I think I hesitated for a bit, not because of the music, but more of the subject, because they wanted to do, more science fiction. And then I steered them into the direction of Druye, which I already shown, like Erm Lefeu, the book that I got on my 11th birthday. Also, their idea was already pretty much figured out, so it was like, very clear that they wanted to have a temple, like on a frozen planet, and they wanted to have a spaceship. And most of those things, that's kind of like, that sounds cool, but it's not how I work. If a band comes with a fully realized idea, I usually politely, depends, but I try to be very polite. Blow them off, or say I'm like that's not how it will work, It's I have to have some room to do my thing as well, but somehow it just I decided that there was something that spoke to me, or that saw it as like an opportunity to do something new as well. Like, I still have that love for it. I love science fiction, but it's not a thing I normally do. It's not in like a lot of in my art realm or anything. But I took it on, and I made a sketch. I partially drew it. That's what I do most of the time right now. I just make a pencil sketch, and I scan it in, and then I do a digital tonal version, and I can also resize and rescale things, like really play it. It's a much faster way of working. It's also very easy to make revisions to changes if people want to do that, because if you have to draw that all by hand, it just sucks. So when I have that composition approved, I just print it out and then do the trace and do that tedious fucking part as well. But, so it still comes back to that, and then you see how I build it up. I usually, especially, this wasn't like we had a front and a back. It's not a gatefold, but I told them, like, hey, since we're doing it, why not make it as continue in design. So you can do either a poster or anything. You know, I
Mhm.
still treated it as almost like a gatefold, which is one of my favorite formats. Actually, I love doing gatefolds. Yeah, and then I usually just go from left to right. and slowly build up, you know, build up the highlights and the shades. And on this paper, you know, on the gray paper, I usually start with the lights, the lighter parts, and the darker shades come last. So.
Right. I want to make sure I understood a part of what you're saying. So for the sketch for approval, are you drawing it and then you're putting it on the computer and doing a very quick color mock-up so you can have like a
Yep.
map to then follow? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do usually do a tonal version, and sometimes when I have time or when I think it helps,
Yeah.
I do a color mock-up, and in this case, I did a color mock-up. Yeah, so that's the one you see on the left. That's a color mock-up. So it's actually very, very close to the finished thing. So,
It is. Yeah. But yeah, like you're, I'm looking at some of the just kind of subtle differences. But yeah, a lot of them are just kind of details.
yeah, it's mostly in the details. Yeah.
What about the like the typography and the graphic design at the end? Do you partner with somebody or do you handle that? Or
I
the
don't
band?
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did a good job with this cover. I like the treatment there, just keeping it off to the side and subtle.
Yeah, I always ask for approval. You know, I just want to see, because I do know what I like and I know what I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm not trained. I'm not a trained graphical designer. I think if I took a bit more time, I'll probably, yeah, I could do it. And I'm not saying that it's an easy job, or and not to talk down the skills of good graphical designers, because I highly admire them. But yeah, I'm an art guy. That's what I love. I'm not a guy who really gets excited about fonts or anything, but I do know what I like, and I have a huge respect for that profession, so I leave it to professionals.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, Remy. He's from Norway, that I had the pleasure to work with on a couple of projects, and I actually brought him on with the Nick Johnson album, because Nick asked me if I knew anyone who could do that, and I was like, yeah, I got the perfect guy for that, and he did an amazing
really
did an amazing job. And I mean, we're going to work together on the next one as well for Nick, and that's where I already said to him, I like, okay, well, I think we should just brainstorm from the start and get it to an even higher level. So we're really excited for that. I knew he would do a great job with that art, but yeah, he really he made it much better. I mean, the whole thing is great. I don't know if you have the back cover as well. That's great.
Did not grab it, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, no worries for that. But and when he sent that for approval with the back, I asked for one small revision, and he was like, "Oh man, I was thinking about it, but I wasn't sure." So we were just at the same. You know, we think alike, and he has a really he has a great eye and great skills, and he has a lot of respect for the art, which is what you're looking for, you know. But you also want him to do his thing, and he did that. So, yeah, it's a pleasure to work with that guy. So,
no, that's awesome, and yeah, it's good to find people with complementary strengths that you can work with.
Definitely, yeah.
I was listening to this album in preparation for the interview as well. I really, really like it. It's
me
just
too.
beautiful music, a very cinematic feel to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when Nick sent me a message and he approached me, um, I wasn't really aware who he was, but I saw that he we had some mutual friends as well.
Mhm.
And I checked out his music, and I was like, okay, this guy is crazy good.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, for me, it was also like okay, this is actually a great opportunity to break away from the standard metal things as well, and broaden the horizon a bit. So I grabbed this with both hands, and I mean, he approached me at a very early stage of that album, and I just had to plan a name. We had to wait for a couple of, I think almost like a half a year before I had the time to work on it. Again, so much trust and so much freedom. You just let me do my thing. I sent him a sketch, and he was like, "Yeah, man, that's beautiful." So, I couldn't be more happier than this, So,
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, man, and like just
yeah,
the color
okay,
choices.
Okay, thank you as well. I got the original somewhere. I have to look. Let me search, because I got all the originals of the things that you
Yeah, I
sent
appreciate
me.
you having all that on standby.
Yeah, here it is.
Beautiful.
Whoa, turn and that way.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually, you can see how small it is when I hold it next to my face. It's
Yeah.
really small. And when I made the transition, or when I was actually working on it, I already knew, like, oh man, I fucked up, because I was like, okay, I choose I made it too small, because if you look at the finished art, you can see that I made some of the puppies a bit higher, just to get a nicer
Oh yeah.
flow.
Mhm.
So I knew at that stage, like, okay, I will fix that in Photoshop. But that's a point where you almost hate your original, because it's not as good as you wanted it. But it's easier. It's easier at this stage, like if this would happen like a couple of years or decade earlier, I would have been. It would have ruined my day. I would feel really bad about it, and now it's much easier. It's like, oh, I'll fix it digitally, and I'll make this as good as it is. And I know it's not perfect. It's not the best composition, but I'll make it perfect for the album cover. So here, I also have the back cover, actually, the original as well. So we're so.
Oh yes, yes. Was that used for the poster as well, or something
Yeah,
similar to that?
yeah, I think so. I think the front cover is on a poster, and I don't know. This is the back cover, and it's probably used for different things as well. So yeah,
I love the like sense of geometry and like different shapes and stuff. In addition to the, what's like kind of like a lunar moth type of
yeah,
creature.
it's a comet moth. It's
Okay.
also it's actually, if I go that way, you can see it right there.
Ah, yes, yes. You got the reference in real life. Perfect.
Oh yeah, I got the big one actually. Let me grab it. So yeah, here we
Oh
go.
wow,
It's like,
beautiful.
yeah. So, and I got that tattooed on me as well. So I love that creature. So, because it doesn't have a mouth. It doesn't feed. It just feeds as the caterpillar, and then it comes out and just lives to mate, and that's it. So it doesn't have a voice or doesn't have a mouth. That's what I love about that creature. I love, I love working with things from nature and using them as a symbol. So for me, that moth is very powerful because it doesn't have a mouth, which is beautiful and tragic, I think.
Yeah, it's alien-like in a way.
Yeah.
I looking through your work, you can tell how much you pull from wildlife, and then, this is just my interpretation of your art, right? But you make it more colorful and vibrant in a lot of cases. Like your sense of color, like you're not afraid to use powerful, bold, saturated colors, which I also really resonate with as well. For instance, like this Mastodon piece in the bottom left here.
Oh yeah.
Was that used for a backdrop on stage? Did I read that right?
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. So they asked me to do the ad mat for the Euro tour, and that was the centerpiece. Because we didn't speak about like a backdrop or anything, so we just wanted to do like the ad mat and use it for shirts and everything. So I made that, and then they asked like, okay, we really want to use it as a backdrop as well, but can you expand it to the sides? And it was like, yeah, I think I can, but let me. I think I actually just said yes, of course. Total confident, and winging it.
And no, you have to figure it out later. Yeah.
Yeah, then figure it out, and then was like, okay, but I have to do because of the time frame. I mean, I love working for Mastodon, but not complaining or anything. But their time frames, they always come like we need it yesterday. and I think they already realized that I can work very, very fast. So they set crazy deadlines, which I actually like as well. Sometimes I really love that to have that pressure. Oh man, I just have 5 days to do this, and just do it. Go crazy. Oh, of course, I'll talk to my family before I take it on. Like, okay, you're not going to see me for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ruin myself. But it was that was the first thing I've done for Mastodon, and I've done one that came out recently, the tour admit for the Ashes of the Leviathan with Lamb of God. And then there's
here too.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
Okay, cool. I got all the originals of within my arm's reach as well. Yeah, that was also a crazy deadline. I mean, you had to really think hard about taking that on, because I had to push back a client in order to take this one on. Luckily, it's someone I know who totally understood. Like, okay, man, do this, make something crazy, and so I'm very thankful that I got to do that. So
I love
it was a
what
crazy.
You did here.
Well, this is one of the I said like I usually don't take projects on where I'm like an illustrator.
Right, because Paul Romano already did the whale and Leviathan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and here this is like the most illustrative job I think I've done so far, because it was really clearly like, okay, you have to combine both covers into one piece, so it was really set. but I try to do it in my style, and also try to treat it with respect for both album covers and both artists, you know. So
Yeah, like the stylization of the fire and the water, like not being too bound by like trying to make it highly realistic, I think was really cool. And like for me, it's that green bridge between the yellow and the red at the top and the blue that like melds it together so well. Like that decision to have that green area. You know what I mean?
all right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I made different versions as well. There's one that I also really like that actually had the green going all the way to the top. But so the birds were green as well, and the fire was green. So it was a more quiet color scheme. But yeah, I think it's a logical decision and choice that they went more for the more screaming ones, or the one that would really stand out, because this, yeah, it has to stand out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a challenging job, not only with the time frame, but also, you know, I had to do a lot of revisions as well. You can see the revisions if you look at the bird on the right. I had to change that, and I had to change that like at the last moment.
It's a pretty subtle change, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the wings,
yes, yeah, and not it's usually something I don't do at that stage. It's like the sketch. The sketch stage is the stage where you ask for compositional changes, and this was for me is a huge change. So I normally don't do that, or don't want to do that at the, because then I'm almost it's not like it's almost like a restoration job. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's too much of altering, and it's also like I said, my desire to have an original piece right now, yeah, it differs, which makes it stand out as well. So I'm at peace with it, but sometimes you have these things, and you have this. You come across this in your work, but those are situations I try to avoid, and I'm always very upfront from the start of how I work, when it's how many changes there can be, and at what stage they can ask what. So, yeah. But yeah, sometimes the client is a bit more demanding, and I respect that as well. So no hard feelings or anything. I'm not here to talk shit about anything.
yes.
Yeah.
No, so, I think you're saying everything. It makes total sense to me.
Okay. Yeah. I just have to catch myself sometimes, like, okay, you know, yeah. I know I can be very Dutch, and so especially to my US friends, sometimes I blur out something, and they see the expression of their face is like, oh, that's a bit too much, I guess. Yeah. Let me pull up some of the originals as well. The original of this, and the original of the backdrop. So let me start with the backdrop pieces. Let me get some out of the way. I think this was the first thumb. This is more than a thumbnail, but this was the first sketch that I did for that piece. Mm-hmm. And then there's here's the clean line. And you can already see, like, okay, I'm just going to draw one half and trace it. Yeah. But what I always love to do with like a very symmetrical design is still make it. I mean, this is the original.
Beautiful.
And it's hand drawn. So there's subtle differences because I usually don't. I actually don't like copy paste things. I like it that there's subtle differences between the sites.
I mean, Drouet would do that all the time.
Sorry,
Philippe Drouet. He would do that all the time, where it's almost mirrored, but not exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see a little bit Drouet influence there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I'm still a huge fan of him. He's still alive and he's still kicking. He's still making making work. So here's the you can see it as well. So
beautiful.
And then the final part. You can also see it. It's very small as well because it looks pretty big, but most of my pieces are pretty small. And then I pieced it together in Photoshop. Because that's the only thing I actually don't like about that design is that I actually had to copy paste the left and the and how do you call it? GT Patti, figure. So that's something that for me is a bit hard to look at. It's like I could have done better, but
the deadline.
Yeah, there was a deadline, and it was just the best I could do. But it was amazing to see that. To see that backdrop. I mean, it was pretty fucking huge. And I mean, if you make the art like at such a small size and you see it blown up, like we're talking like, what's it, 6 meters, 5 meters high.
Yeah.
It's still looking good. Then you know that you did a good job, especially within that time frame. So, it never ceased to amaze me. I mean, seeing my art on an album cover, seeing the final product, but seeing my art blown up on a backdrop, that's an whole different ball game as well. That's it's really mind blowing. So.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
Not talking down on the album covers because that's my first love and will always be be my deepest love, I think. Yeah.
If someone wanted to purchase original art from you, do you have a web store, or what's the best way for them to get a hold of
that? Just contact me, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM.
Okay.
Here's the original of.
I'm amazed how small that is.
Yeah.
For how much is in there. Wow.
Here's my hat. It's this was also like again, it's you can see in detail. And I could have brought the contrast or the even higher, but this was all like I could have made it all a bit stronger, boosted a bit more, but because of the time frame, you just look, okay, this is good enough. This is great. This is a base where I can work from, and also a base that I'm satisfied with, because, like I said, with the airbrush, the tackiness. The same thing you have with Photoshop and the color layers. If you do too much digital work, it will show. And I want that real balance where there is like a mystery, like how did he do it? And, I still want to have the look of an original hand drawn image. So,
I think that's awesome. There's another artist in this scene, up and comer. His name's Noah Myhoff. He does kind of a similar thing too, with a blending of traditional and digital. He's a really big fan of yours, actually. He's a good friend of mine.
Right.
So
Okay, cool.
I'll be very excited to see this. And if you're watching, Noah, shout out to you, man.
All right. I know I will check out your stuff. Lee is gonna probably send me a link later on. I will shoot you a message.
Sounds good.
All right.
Let's see. Okay, so we have Mortuous on the right, and then the upcoming Necrot cover on the left. Both amazing pieces.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You want me to talk about this? Of course, yeah.
You can do it briefly. You don't have to go on too long. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. What can I say? I love both bands. I feel extremely lucky to have met both. To have met both bands, and actually, with Necrot, that's a trilogy. That's my third album cover, and that's my second. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I already spotted the Necrot shirt, the Necrot logo on your shirt.
Yeah. Well, I got to rep the artist. That's my thing.
All right. That's great, man. That's great. I love that. And with Mortuous, that's my second one, and I do hope I get to do the third as well. So just fingers crossed for that. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and it's been a ride to work for both bands. Actually, with both bands, the first album, I experienced a lot of artistic freedom. Actually, I got directions, and we worked out a design. But with both the second and with Necrot the third, and with Mortuous, both seconds, they really became more involved in with the concept and steering the composition in an imagery that they really wanted. And so it's been different to work with them. And different doesn't mean like I'm talking it down like it's a bad thing or something like that. It just shifted a bit, and especially the last Necrot was just a huge search from the start. Like they had very specific ideas, and I really struggled with finding a good image that worked. We really, it was a long search. The sketching process was I think probably the longest I've ever had with an album cover. And I also have to say that, in my opinion, it's also that is the most difficult and can be the most time consuming stage. Just to agree on the composition, just to get that initial idea approved, get everybody on board for that thing, that can be such a struggle. And once a composition is greenlit, it's mostly easy. So it's just smooth waters. Just go from A to B. You know where to go. But with this, when the idea was approved, I actually, and I think they know this, I wasn't that keen on that design. I actually, in my heart, and I'll see them later this year, and we have to talk about it. It's like, dude, I should have spoken up maybe a bit harder. Like I knew it would work. I still made it. And then we came to the conclusion, okay, this doesn't work, But sometimes I think people actually have to see it, and then they realize, okay, it doesn't work. So with the new Necrot, I actually had to change the whole main figure of that cover. So the back cover was in the background, that was all done. And we kept that still. but the main figure had to be added in, redrawn. I redrew it with hand because I don't want to do that like digitally. So I had to draw the whole demon and all the figures because we had to figure out a whole new theme. And Luca came with like the demon on the bald mountain, I think it's called, from the Fantasia. The devil with, yeah. So and I was like, okay, I think I know, because he wanted to have it on a big rock as well, like the famous the famous scene where he spreads his wings.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that works, but it works on a rectangular image, and yeah, for front cover you have a
Square.
Yeah, you have a square, yeah, and we have to have room for the logo as well, and they want to have the logo pretty big on there, so there had to be room at the top. And then I just shown him a picture of one of my biggest love, like Richard Corbin, which has famous illustration of him is like a devil figure playing on an organ with all like bodies floating around in a circle, and I was like,
I was thinking the same thing. That piece, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this is my homage to him as well, and I hope I treated it with a lot of respect. So, I mean, if anybody wants to accuse me of artistic theft, hey, I'm good. I'm good for it. I'm guilty. I'm guilty, but I'm. Like I shown, I'm from an early start. I'm a huge fan of Richard Corbin, so for me this was a nice way to do it, and also do it with the classical image of Satan, which the medieval illustration of him eating and pooping or puking from his lower parts, which is also a head. Like the endless circle of being eating and being reborn and getting eating again. So I thought that was a good way to incorporate the theme of the record and the record title as well, to have something like an endless cycle, and also being like born dead, or just being trapped.
Well, and then just even from like a literal technical perspective, it establishes the scale. Now you know how big the creature is, how big Satan is, where if you didn't have the people, the viewer wouldn't know how large he is,
Yeah, that as well. So and he had to be big because I already had the scenery. I mean, if you see the whole image, if you put out the whole gatefold, you can see the ruins of a city. And Luca wanted it to look like a Roman city, so old. They wanted to do it like first we opted like a dystopian modern city, but he wanted to look at like a classical Roman city. Yeah. So it has a more, how do you call it, historian feel, like a classical feel. And what we did, I suggested, like, because we went for like a tidal wave, and then I was like, hey man, we should add meteorites as well, because I love the diagonal angle that they all get, and they will also continue make a transition to the back cover as well and connect it. And they were a bit hesitant with that, but when I showed them, they were like, yeah, man, that's great. And then we actually made them, there's subtle demon wings in the meteorites as well. So it's almost like more demons are actually plunging down into Earth, and it will connect also the inside gatefold, which will have. I think it's already been shown on some pieces. I think some of the art is already, some of the figures has been shown on merch as well,
like the shirts and stuff.
Yeah. So on the back of the shirts, there's the pieces of the inside art, which is like the bat-like demons hanging from an infernal cave. So that's Luca wanted them almost like the demons about to wake up and plunge like meteors into the earth. So there's actually a story. So we got to connect it all at the end. But like I said, it was a real struggle to get there. This has been crazy. And actually, compared to the other one, which was a struggle as well, but on different reasons, because that was when I still struggled from my eye, and I actually drew that with basically with one eye.
No, this is good, man.
So it seems like every Necrot album. Well, the last two ones have been a real struggle. Also, medically, the last one I was the one that was under the covers, and I had to deal with some serious shit. And on this one, it was Luca and Chad as well. And I think Sonny also had some. Yeah, he had his hands, some tendons. And Chad, the drummer, had back surgery. Yeah, I mean, fuck, man. It seems like we all have to pay our dues to get an album out. Yeah, it's well worth it. It's a fantastic album. Can't wait to till it it's released, and it's going to be good. They did really. I think the album release really did well, and it just did a massive tour, and they're going to announce another massive tour soon as well. These guys are so inspiring because they work so hard. We all come from the same punk scenes, and it's just great to be on their team. They have so much drive. That's also one of the main differences, I think, between European or the Netherlands. Let's keep it smaller. Let's keep it to my area, and American people or the American scene. It's like what I see from my American friends and music friends or artistic, the drive there is so much greater, and their goals are bigger. I think in the Netherlands, it's much smaller, and you don't have this. I rarely meet really ambitious people. It's rare. And I get that with my American friends, and it broadens my ideas. Like you don't have to think small; you can aim higher, and that's also very inspiring. I know it's something that some people don't like about Americans, like they're always so loud, or they're pretentious or whatever. But I think I see the positive things in that, like some things that I can use. I don't have to talk down on myself. I can do more. It can be really inspiring. So, yeah. And Necrot and Mortars are people of that example as well. Although, they really stick to the underground, but they do such a hard job and so serious, but they know they're in a niche, but still they give it them all. And it's awesome.
That's really great to hear. And I mean, both covers of these two out of both of those bands that you've done are my personal favorites. But
very nice.
I imagine that the trials and tribulations, the difficulty of making that Necrot cover may make it harder to look at it objectively for how strong it ended up. You know what I mean? Because you knew all the iterations and versions before it, but this thing turned a lot of heads. Like, everyone's talking about this cover, at least in terms of my friend group. So, and I don't mean to flatter you too much. I just love that cover so much.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I think some of the comments that I've read were mostly about the groin part, the groin face, like hey man, is he pooping out? Is no, I'm sometimes really surprised. Like how little people know about art history or about imagery, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't have that image of the classical image of Satan, and that you don't have that in your head, and then um, yeah, so that's a surprise for me. It's like, all right, for me, this clicks, this makes sense, it's like almost like an archetype for me. For me, that's like, okay, there's certain, I mean, there's a lot of paintings and a lot of imagery about Satan, but for me, when I think of certain imagery of Satan, this one, the medieval one, is one that pops up. Besides the Baphomet and other archetype archetypical depictions of him, so I was surprised about that. But I'm glad to hear that people like this. I think it also has to do with the colors.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the whole thing, and I really went like full rainbow, and that's something that. In art school, they say you never do that. You don't go full rainbow. And I always love it when I get the opportunity to just go full rainbow, and it's a big middle finger to my art teachers who said that. I was like, fuck you, you can do it. You can pull it off. You just have to balance everything out. Yes.
Totally. Well,
So I have the original of the Mortuous one over here. Let me pull it up because that's might be interesting as well. Let's see, because look, we got color.
Yeah. Heaviest of Art website and Instagram, they did a really good breakdown with you on their site, and I remember seeing in progress photos for this one.
Yeah, Lewis. Hi, Lewis. He's a great guy, and we did several features, and if you're interested in my work, or if you're interested in art surrounding this metal scene, I would recommend checking out Heaviest of Art. I think you should change it into Heaviest Art. Lose the off, because you get Heaviest O fart. But
Is that the Dutch that you were talking about there?
Yeah, probably, but I should have mentioned it to him. But I think it's just something that comes up. It's like, oh man, you should have checked that a bit. But it's also been great to see him and see his website grow. See him doing bigger features with bigger bands. He's also an example of thinking big and putting in the work. Putting in a lot of work, and that's that's inspiring for me. It's like put in the work.
Totally. Just for the sake of time, let's do this one, and then kind of come towards the end.
All right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. This is one of my favorites. Kvelertak. Yeah. Handling. Such a pleasure to. That's also the second cover I did, and of course they have a legacy of artists that they work with. First John, then Eric, and then they came to me. Such an honor to work with them. Talking about a hardworking group of people. One of the best live bands I think out there. They're amazing. Yeah, such friendly guys, and this album was a pleasure to do. I mean, the first one I did, Split, was also was great. So many. I did did a lot of pieces also with that, the multiple pieces for them. Yeah, this was great to do. I have the sketch. I think I have the thumbnail and the original of this, so I'll put them up maybe at a later stage. Yeah, I mean, for me, this is like a huge story. But with all my art, there's always a story in it. But it's a story that I know what it's all about, but I like to keep it as open for interpretation, and I love hearing from other people what they think the story is, or that they make their own stories about it. Because I know what it's about, but I do like to keep it open for interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So this one you're not giving anything. I got you.
Well, I think it's very fair. I mean,
you don't have to. I like keeping open.
Oh, well, tell me what you think, and what do you think this story? What do you see? What do you think the story is? What do you think the main story is? Yeah, well, we could talk about that.
The way I usually interpret art is the first thing is I just see the shapes, the color, and I think about the making of it and the technical details, and then I usually think about meaning secondarily. That's typically how I first interpret it. So first thing I see is I like how there's like an essence of like distance, yet it's all coming from the same tree, which is intriguing. And then it's just a really strong silhouette. You know, you have a very it almost kind of has like an airbrush looking feel for the background, where it's just a really nice gradient, and then limited color palette with some really strong browns and then some highlights. So aesthetically, I just really love the shapes. So then the owl is a recurring character in all the I always mispronounce her name. Is it Kvelertak? How do you say it?
Kvelertak.
Like somewhat close. For me.
It's good. It's good enough for me. I'm Dutch. I'm not Norwegian. I mean, so but I think Kvelertak is the way to pronounce it. So
then it's basically falcons that have a lot of times they're being trained by falconers, and they have those blinders on. So you have a bunch of blind falcons, then you have an owl, and it's kind of like around dusk. So the owl naturally stands out. In terms of the meaning, oh man, this is the part of art that I'm not as good at.
There's no right or wrong.
Yeah,
it's not like a quiz. I'm just curious if people pick up the main things, because you already pointed out a major one, but I think if you look again, look at all the falcons and look at the owl. What's the big difference between them?
Well, the owl can see, and then what's on the
owl?
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah,
it can see, and everyone else is kind of blind. Yeah.
Yes, and if you look at the legs or at the claws, it has it has all the strings.
Oh, the owl's holding the strings. Got it.
Yeah, all the falcons are tied down. So, and if you look at the bottom of the tree, I don't know if you can see it in this image, but there's a small rodent there.
Is it like in that little hole in the tree?
Yep.
Well, what does the rodent mean to you then? Give me that at least. That I guess the owl can get the rodent easier. Everyone else can't see the rodent, so they're missing the prize, maybe the meaning of life or the pursuit of getting something.
No, this is more playing with who is the prey and who is the predator. So, and also who is the standout, who is the outsider, who is the endling, which is almost like the last one, but also the outsider. Which one is it? You know, is it the owl? Is it the rodent, or is is one of the birds of prey, or are all the birds of prey thinking they're the special one, or they're the one who is in control? Who is in control over here? And in the background, you can see a forest fire as well. One of the only indications I got was from Bjarte was we want the album cover to be red, and so I first made it all red, and they were like, "Yeah, but then not only red." And then I did this version, and they were still, "Yeah, but it can still be color." And I was like, "Yeah, but I really like this color scheme. I really want almost colorless, almost gray." Yeah, the main component is in gray and a really red, bright, vibrant background color. And I added the forest fire at a later stage. Let me bring out the original, the sketch, and we'll look for that to move around. Yeah, this was actually the first thumbnail. So just checking if the composition would work.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, this is the line sketch.
Can you pull it back up just a second? Just lift it up just a little bit more. Just up. Does it go any higher? Like, oh, it ends there. I was just trying to see how much of the tree is visible there.
I have no idea, actually. Is it good enough? Does this work? Because I can't see shit right now, so just...
All right. There you go. There it is. All right. Oh. Cool. That's perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. And then we have the original. Let's do this. So this is for scale. It's actually small. And then I'll go from...
How did you go about, I guess...
drawing this? Yeah.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, just like getting all the different angles of a falcon, you know what I mean? Like, so I imagine you like looked at reference, but then you had to use a lot of your imagination to kind of get them in the poses you wanted, right?
Yeah, I usually, I do have a lot of, like my father, I do have like a lot of books. Yeah. And of course you have the internet where you can just search for reference. So I have folders full of reference pictures, and then I just assemble the things that I need, like use different reference pictures to create the stands. Because it's almost impossible to take these pictures yourself, or it is quite impossible. And there's so many good pictures out there, but I do try to alter them and make them my own. And then I add a lot of references for the hoods as well, and try to make combinations of that as well. So there were a lot of components. It was a pretty big challenge to make it fit all together, to make it work, and to make it also work for like a back cover and for a front cover as well.
Wait, I need to look at the actual packaging. Where did the logo land for this one?
They used a sticker.
Sticker? So there's no logo?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and this one also got me into a huge backdrop, really, really big one. I think it's 12 meters long and 6 meters high. So really, really big. That one was really impressive to see live. And again, it all worked. It still worked. It looked really, yeah. It feels weird to say it, but it looked really great. Yeah, it was really amazing to see it, and the detail was great as well. They'll look, sometimes when you blow things up, especially when you make them that small, they will look distorted, or the small mistakes get blown up, and everybody sees them, or you think everybody sees them. But yeah, it all worked. So I did a good job, I think. Yeah,
I agree. Excellent
thank you.
piece.
yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I really love that album. I love that band. So I mean, great friends, great people. Yeah, I think we're going to continue to work. Going to do some more work later this year for them as well. I think another poster. We did a great poster of this one as well. I made a special frame for that. That was great to do. Great people to work with. Real
Nice.
pleasure. Yeah.
Well, it's cool, like seeing you form these partnerships with bands that understand how you work, and how, like you said something earlier that's really sticking with me, of like, I don't work for bands, I work with bands. And like, when you get to a certain, especially as you get to a certain skill level, like you've developed over the years, like that kind of mindset, I think, is incredibly important, so that the value of what people like you bring to the table is there. You know what I mean? Like that's just, it's sticking with me in this interview. And I hope for the people watching as well, they're seeing the value in just that statement.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to come over as arrogant, but I think I have a certain guarantee of quality at this stage. So for me, one of the things that I mean, for any artist I would give is, don't underestimate the power of saying no, and be really picky about your projects, and choose the right people, choose the right moments. And of course, you're gonna make mistake, and you're gonna have projects that don't work out as the way you want. But one of the things I did at an early stage, which actually, at a certain stage in my career, was take on a part-time job. So I sacrificed some of my time to be able to say no, and to actually build or rebuild my career. I think that helped me out a lot, because I just got to choose my projects and choose the people that I work with. And it's a word that's always been used, and sometimes being used cheaply, like but passion. You have to be passionate about what you do, and I think that shows in your work. So I'm still very picky about projects. I think that's one of the best advice that I can give to people. Of course, there's different routes, but it's really, like what's the best advice you can give to starting people? Don't be a dick, and try to form a bond, but also start from scratch. I would say start from the underground, start local, approach bands, do a fanzine, make flyers, play around, try to find your style, and develop your own handwriting, develop your own style. And of course, you have to look to peers and maybe copy some work to learn. But I would really say that, the power to say no is one of the biggest. Yeah,
that's great.
Don't be afraid to say no to bigger bands as well. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Trust your gut. So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that, Marald. You actually answered my closing question right before I did, which is advice. So thank you for that. But for everybody watching, of course, follow Marald on Instagram. Buy the albums that he creates the artwork for. Support those bands as well. Support him. If you're interested in any of his originals, it sounds like you can send him a message and he'll, see if it lines up, in terms of that. It is high quality work, so I'm sure there's a price tag to it, and there should be. But you seem extremely approachable, so I think that's important for people to know as well.
Oh yeah, I am, and that's also one of the advices I would want to give to young artists. Right now, you live in a time where you can approach artists directly. Almost every artist is online, and most of them are really friendly. It comes down to the first advice that I said: don't be a dick. So be polite to them, but you can always send them a message. And I think most of them are way easier to get a reaction or get some sound advice from. I think right now for an artist, it can be sometimes overwhelming because you get to see a lot of great art and you probably feel a bit lost and like, oh man, how am I going to be able to, or I'm never going to be able to approach that level. You have to take baby steps, just one of the things right now, which is fucking great, is that all the information, all the questions that you have, all the technical questions that you have, there's like YouTube videos that you can watch. You can really, in my time, I had to ask teachers who didn't know shit and who just told me like, oh, that's already been done before. You have to do something differently, Whereas, of course, then I had to figure out why do they give this shit advice? Because, it was because they didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the technical skills. So I had to figure it out. I had to reinvent the wheel. Whereas now you can just go on YouTube and see some tutorials and actually get to know and learn techniques, learn about all the things, learn about composition, perspective, colors, how to mix colors. I can give so much advice to people. If you want to paint with acrylics, like use 2 sets of pots of water, one to wash your brushes and one where you mix your colors with, so you keep that clear. Don't use one. You get muddy colors. You want bright colors, you have to keep your water clean. It's simple advice. And know which colors you know how the color circle works. I'm getting passionate. When my son went to school and they started to learn the color circle, I told him like that's shit. That's not true, and I went to a teacher, also like, look, if you want to teach the color circle, the primary colors and secondary colors, you're on the right track. But there's 2 primary colors of each, and that's when you can mix the secondary colors. You don't have one red where you can make and a beautiful purple and a beautiful orange. No, there's one red where you can make a beautiful purple or a rose color, and one where you can make a real beautiful bright orange. And the same goes for the blues and the yellow. It's basic stuff like that they didn't even teach at art school. That knowledge got lost, which is insane. So, for starting artists, use all the knowledge that's out there, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just get technically trained, and don't use that as a base and explore, play around.
Yeah, Well said, man. You're firing me up. So, yeah. Well, for everybody watching, thank you again. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. Once again, support Marald. If you can just stay on just for a second. Everybody else, new episodes every Thursday. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Lee. Bye-bye.